If you think you remember all the people from your past, you might be wrong. They thought so too. When Stephen received the letter, he thought at first it was a joke. The envelope was thick, grey, with no return address. Inside was just one line, typed. You were all there. It's time to remember. And the coordinates. Stephen hadn't opened that door in over a decade. He had convinced himself that everything was long forgotten, filed away, and locked away. But the letter smelled the same, dust, iron, and something sweet and rotten, just like it had back then. 3 days later, he was standing outside the abandoned North Guest House, on the outskirts of an abandoned village. It was here that they had come to relax as young adults. 6 adults who were tired of life, alcohol, and their own thoughts. Now there were 5 of them. They gathered in the hall where the mirror had once hung. Now there was a dark rectangular shadow in its place, as if the glass had been removed but the reflection remained blurred, wrong. Lena was smoking at the entrance. Her hands were trembling, though she tried to maintain a confident demeanor. Kevin was silent, staring at the floor. Sylvia, on the other hand, was talking too much about the road, the weather, trivialities. Stephen noticed that no one had asked who had called them. We shouldn't be here, George finally said. It's a bad idea. Then why did you come? Lena asked calmly. He didn't answer. They all knew why. 10 years ago, they found a windowless room in this boarding house. In the basement, there was a door that wasn't on the building's blueprint. Behind it, there was a long corridor and a metal door with no handle on the inside. And a man. He was sitting on a chair, smiling as if he had been waiting for them. There were no chains or locks. Just a man in a windowless room. You've arrived, he said. Then we can begin. They thought it was a performance. It was a cruel joke. Then it was a madman. Then it was the police, the hospital, anyone but him. But he knew everything about them. Since, thoughts, things they had never spoken of aloud. He named dates, names, and smells. He spoke of things that had not yet happened. Then he proposed a game. One of you will stay, he said. The rest will leave. Forever. They laughed. Then they cried. Then they made a choice. In the present tense, the door to the basement was open again. No, said Sylvia. I'm not going in. But her feet carried her first. The corridor was narrower. The ceiling was lower. The air was heavier. Ilya felt an old, forgotten story rising inside him, clinging like cold sweat. The metal door was open. A windowless room awaited them. A chair stood in the middle. There was a dark stain on the floor. And on the wall, an inscription scratched with fingernails. He did not go. It's impossible, Lena whispered. Where Sylvia stopped. The man was sitting on a chair. The same one. Neither older nor younger. And he was smiling. You did a bad thing, he said softly. But that's okay. People always act badly in this situation. George screamed and rushed to the door. The door slammed shut. The sound was muffled, final. The game continues, the man said. But now the rules are different. He stood up. The shadows in the room moved, even though there was no light. The walls seemed to get closer. Then you've chosen one. Today. You will choose the truth. What truth? Whispered Stephen. The smile grew wider. Which of you is really here? They started to remember. Not like before. Not smoothed out, not excused. The memories were dirty, sharp, alive. How they argued. How they shouted. How they decided it would be Sylvia because she's weaker. How they locked the door. How they left without looking back. It wasn't me. Sylvia sunk to the floor. I'm here. The man looked at her with pity. You are gone, Sylvia. You always leave. Even now. The room began to change. Scratches appeared on the walls. Nail marks. Lena screamed when she realized. The scratches were from the inside. He said we could leave. George muttered. He said. He was telling the truth, the man interrupted. You left. But someone had to stay so the door wouldn't disappear. Stephen understood. It was too late. It was you, he said, looking at George. George turned pale. No. No, we agreed. You came back, Stephen continued. You said you'd forgotten your phone. We waited outside. 5 minutes. 10. Then. We left. George slowly sunk to his knees. I heard you start the car. He whispered. I was screaming. The room was shaking. The man leaned back in his chair. He said he stayed. And you went on living. Getting married. Building a career. Sleeping peacefully. We thought he was gone, Sylvia said. He was gone, but not immediately. The door opened. Fresh air rushed into the room. You are free, the man said. Except for one. His gaze rested on Stephen. You sent the letter, Stephen realized. You wanted us to come back. No, the man smiled. You wanted to. Stephen remembered the sleepless nights. The dreams. The windowless room. The chair. The darkness. He had always known. Ilya took a step forward, and nothing happened. The door didn't slam shut. The room didn't shake. The darkness didn't close in. The man in the chair suddenly exhaled for the first time. Finally, he said wearily. At least someone has stopped running away. The walls began to dissolve, as if they were being erased with an eraser. The scratches disappeared, the floor brightened, and the air became lighter and warmer. The windowless room slowly transformed into a typical basement with peeling walls and a single small window near the ceiling. George raised his head. Are we free? He asked hoarsely. Always have been, the man replied. You've just been living in a cage you built yourself. He stood up and suddenly became ordinary. Slouching. Grey-haired. A man who had lived through a long night. You stayed here, Stephen said. Then. 10 years ago. Yes, he nodded. But not with your body. The man walked over to Stephen and placed his hand on his chest. You took me with you. Every day. Every choice. Every breath. Stephen took a sharp breath and realized. The room had disappeared. They stood outside the boarding house. The morning sun. The birds. The silence. Sylvia was crying for the first time, calmly, without hysteria. Lena was laughing, covering her face with her hands. George stood for a long time, looking at his hands as if he were seeing them for the first time. "What now?" he asked. Stephen smiled. "Live." They parted and never saw each other again. But everyone felt better. A year later, Stephen accidentally found an old box of photographs. He froze. There were 6 people in the group photo from that trip. Stephen, Sylvia, Lena, George, and 2 others. On the back of the photo, a small handwritten note read, "We didn't choose one thing. We chose to forget about the others." Stephen slowly looked up. A stranger was standing in the mirror opposite. He was smiling. "You're here," he said. "Now we can begin." The door closed.